In case we have any folks that are new, today's webinar is brought to you in partnership by NCWE and Bank of America with Interstate Renewable Energy Council, IREC. IREC is a national nonprofit working to remove barriers to the deployment of clean energy for all Americans. We do this through state regulatory reform, local initiatives such as our Soul Smart program that helps bring communities around the U.S. to accelerate their solar and now wind and EV programs. And we also have workforce development. So we're excited to bring this session to you today. I am Cynthia Finley, Vice President of Workforce Strategy and Innovation. That title's too long at IREC. And again, our partners, the National Council of Workforce Education and Bank of America. We've been working in partnership for several years now to bring the Alliance to all of you in clean energy and talk about diversifying the workforce for clean energy. I'm joined today by IREC's Director of Strategic Workforce Engagement, Pagan Pajoni, and Brent Kosick, the Director of Programs at Service Year Alliance. And we are here today to talk about the Weatherization Assistance Program. We've got a lot of exciting things to bring to you today. As you all are joining, just a few housekeeping tidbits. You all are on mute. We'll be using the Q&A tab in your Zoom at the bottom of the screen to send any questions, and you can do so throughout the presentation. We will address questions at the end. We do leave about 30 minutes for discussion and Q&A at the end, so we really appreciate all of those questions as we go through. We will be sending out a copy of the presentation and other follow-up resources. It would be great if you could drop your name and who you're with in the chat, so we all know who we have in the room today. That would be fantastic. Today we'll do just a brief introduction for the Clean Energy Alliance for anybody who is new, and we will move into a Green Workforce Connect overview and strategies for connecting with new and diverse audiences. So if you are new here today, or you've been coming to these webinars for a while, you know that workforce development doesn't just happen by accident. We are working to rapidly scale a diverse and sustainable clean energy workforce, and we need to leverage best practices, resources, and create strong partnerships in order to do so. We continue to work to connect these dots and address clean energy workforce development holistically, focusing on every aspect of workforce development landscape, from new learners and worker recruitment through employer development and retention of employees. So the National Clean Energy Workforce Alliance has strategic areas of focus that include education, training, credentialing, sharing curriculum development, which is huge, funding and program design, recruitment and support of workers and learners, and employer recruitment and retention strategies. We have a newsletter we would love for you all to subscribe to, but I want to also mention that you can feel free to contribute to anything that you'd like to get to the group at large through this newsletter. We also have a LinkedIn page that we would invite you to join, and you all are welcome to post on that LinkedIn page as well. We'll drop these links in the chat for you, and you'll also have this available in the resources at the end of today's session. Our Clean Energy webinar series has been happening the third Thursday of every month at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Future topics are clean energy policy and legislation. We are really excited about that one coming up. Funding and grants, that is everyone's favorite topic. Leveraging resources, and DEIA contractor workshop series. We will not have a session in April. There are quite a few conferences coming up in April, and we know you all will be busy, but we cannot wait to hear where you've been and what you've been up to in April when we reconvene in May. I am really excited to talk to you all today about IREC's workforce development strategy, Green Workforce Connect, working to cultivate a new generation of diverse weatherization assistant program professionals and contractors. IREC has many years associated with the Weatherization Assistance Program through our work with the Green Building Career Map, developing administrative training for grantees and sub-grantees, and providing accreditation and technical support for training providers. So I'm really excited to be here today to share with you the launch, well, it launched a few months ago, of Green Workforce Connect initiative for weatherization assistance programs across the country. Across the weatherization network and the energy efficiency sector, we hear about the need for employee and contractors and the difficulty for finding qualified candidates. And we know from all of our sessions that you all have the same issues. And some of you need to double or even triple your staff to meet the demands. And we've heard you loud and clear. And we've talked about these issues a lot in our sessions, but I know that you all are hearing it in your communities as well. And this isn't unique to the Weatherization Assistance Program, but is rather a cross-sector challenge for the clean energy industry as a whole. This challenge also presents an opportunity for the industry to expand in a way that invites collaboration and supports the development of a more diverse and equitable and inclusive workforce. It presents an opportunity for all of us to work together with intentionality and coordination to increase the green workforce across the country and get more individuals into family-sustaining jobs with bright futures. And I know you all are concerned about all of this as workforce professionals, especially as we look to address some of the grant and funding streams that are out there as well. IREC's workforce development strategy works to bridge the gap between career awareness, quality education and training, and connecting to careers in clean energy. This Green Workforce Connect initiative represents a national coordinated effort among weatherization stakeholders to collectively raise awareness of weatherization career and contracting opportunities and make connections to a new generation of diverse home energy professionals. I know I myself was not well versed into all of the jobs that were available with the Weatherization Assistance Program, so we were really excited to be able to bring a more nuanced lens to job seekers and professionals. In partnership with you and your communities, we are going to recruit a new generation of weatherization professionals with a focus on reaching underrepresented people and disadvantaged communities. There are so many factors that affect how easy or difficult it can be for a worker to find these jobs. Some of these issues, like broader state of the economy, those are beyond our control for hiring professionals, but there are many steps that we can take to raise awareness and reach new audiences and develop local talent pipelines into these incredible career and contracting opportunities. And through this project, we want to empower you all with tools and resources to effectively connect with and recruit new employees and contractors into the weatherization field. We want to ensure our recruitment and outreach strategies align with the needs and values of the underrepresented populations and members of disadvantaged communities. We also want to make sure that these strategies align with the needs of industry and employers. And we ultimately want to increase the talent pipeline for the Weatherization Assistance Program and subsequently reduce the time and cost to hire new workers and contractors. We've talked a lot in our sessions about challenges to workforce development and diversifying the workforce. We have similar challenges across clean energy industry. Job seekers just don't know where these career pathways are, how to find these jobs, or what's open to them in weatherizations. They might not know about the Weatherization Assistance Program. Workforce development resources can be fragmented in some states and in places, and currently there's no national platform that highlights just weatherization careers and contracting opportunities. Employers need help connecting new audiences and reaching potential employees, and contractors don't always know how to connect to program opportunities. Green Workforce Connect helps to provide a solution by giving job seekers and students a place to explore career pathways and learn about key weatherization assistance program roles and connect directly to their local weatherization employer to take that next step in getting a career. Providing weatherization stakeholders with access to marketing collateral, workforce development resources and tools and learning opportunities will be key to a solution. And ensuring contractors can access program information and business development resources and connecting them to weatherization contracting opportunities in their area. I'm going to stop sharing with you now and introduce IREC's Director of Strategic Workforce Engagement, Pagan Pajoni, to go over Green Workforce Connect and all this platform has to share with you.
Thank you so much, Cindy. Let's just bring up our slide presentation again. So thank you so much, Cindy. I'm Pagan Pagioni. I'm IREC's Director of Strategic Workforce Engagement and have been leading our Green Workforce Connect initiative for the Weatherization Assistance Program for the last year or so. Just over 2 years ago, a national group and state partners got together and conceived of the idea of this platform that would connect job seekers and students and contractors to local employers and training programs in the Weatherization Assistance Program. This represents a national collaboration with representation from national weatherization partners, state program administrators, along with 18 local subgrantee employers in our pilot states. And I want to thank the Department of Energy for funding this initiative. It's been really incredible to work with this group of people, and I'm excited to share the outputs of our work with you today. So our approach throughout the development process for this project has been really intentional. We want to develop a solution that is human-centered and really meets the needs of the communities that we're working in. Green Workforce Connect was created through really extensive stakeholder engagement. That slide is actually incorrect. I think we're well over 750 folks across the Weatherization Assistance Program network that have participated in listening sessions, focus groups, one-on-one conversations, completed online surveys. I know many of you, I recognize names that have gone by in the chat, have been part of these conversations, and thank you for being part of it. We also convened an advisory group in this project to really help us understand the needs of underrepresented populations and disadvantaged communities. They did a lot of work, particularly on our development of our outreach and engagement toolkit that I will share with you. And they worked tirelessly and really spent a lot of time digging into some gritty topics and providing really honest, open feedback about image choices and platform design, language, things that we should include or avoid. And I want to thank them all for their participation. And the project is much more. It's been enriched by their participation, and I appreciate it. So Green Workforce Connect, for the job seeker audience, they have opportunities to explore career pathways and entry points. We have a lot of job seeker facing resources so that they can understand the 4 key weatherization field roles that we are featuring in the platform. All of those roles tie back to the IREC Green Buildings career map. We have information for them to determine if this work is a good fit for them, and then opportunities for them to connect with their local weatherization employer or training center. So I mentioned we have resources for job seekers. We also have resources for employers and contractors, and we'll dig into a few of these in a little bit more detail in a bit, but our resource hub has workforce development resources for training programs, local program providers, community-based organizations, and contractors. We have a wealth of workforce development focused resources there and more coming online. But let's go take a look at the platform. I want to give you a quick overview before we dig into some of the other content that we're going to cover today. So hopefully this works. Welcome to Green Workforce Connect, and in particular, welcome to our homepage where we are featuring Selena's story right now. And I know Selena's on the call right now. So Selena, thank you so much for sharing your story of your pathway in weatherization. The career stories features throughout the platform showcase real stories of people that are thriving currently in Weatherization Assistance Program roles. We have 4 stories online right now: Selena, Dusniel, Wayne, and Marcy. And each of those videos link to, link to a page within the platform where you can hear their weatherization story, and also see visually their individual career pathway. So Dusniel started as a retrofit installer technician in 2006, and he's now a housing and energy director within the program. And that was the Career Stories feature is really something that arose out of our listening sessions and our work with the advisory group. We know from those folks and other conversations that job seekers and students in particular want to see all types of diverse individuals with different backgrounds successfully working in weatherization. And more broadly, they want to see stories about people in energy efficiency and in energy. So the homepage is really focused on raising awareness of Weatherization Assistance Program careers right now. We have highlighted here for the 4 weatherization field roles that I mentioned earlier that are from our IREC Green Buildings Career Map. And each of those link to additional information within the platform where job seekers can learn more about each role. It's a pretty detailed and extensive information about each role, and really trying to provide job seekers with upfront information about what the work is like and what they can expect after they embark on this particular career pathway. We have a quiz for job seekers to take. You can find out if you're a fit for these careers in just 7 questions. This is another area of the platform where the advisory group and our listening sessions were really invaluable in figuring out what questions might be fun to answer that provide a good, honest assessment of whether somebody might enjoy a role that often entails crawling in small spaces. We have detailed information for individuals, job seekers, and then also for contractors. On the job seeker side, we have details about the Weatherization Assistance Program, how the program works, and why this might be a career pathway for them. Similar, more detailed information about the career roles available through this platform right now, and some information about the tasks that they might be working on. For contractors, we have a similarly structured page, but the main feature on the contractors page is a resource called the Contractor's Guide to Success, which is a very extensive section of the platform that allows contractors to get in touch about working within the Weatherization Assistance Program in their area, and then a guide that is set up as 5 different sections, really trying to give contractors at different stages of their business development a starting point. We know that there are many younger folks that are starting new businesses, so we want to include information for them. We also want to include information that's relevant for folks that are currently working in the Weatherization program, and also that might be looking to start working in the Weatherization Assistance Program. The Resource Hub, again, we have a lot of resources that are focused on job seekers and student audience. Weatherization, it's more than a job, it's a career. What's your why? Some more about career stories. And I will say we've got 4 folks featured in the platform right now. I encourage you to sign up for updates on the platform. We have 8 more stories coming soon. We have another resource about career pathways for home energy professionals in the Weatherization Assistance Program, and more broadly in the green building sector. And then right now in this project, we are piloting this program in 3 states with 18 local subgrantee organizations, so Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. On each state page, there's information about the Weatherization Assistance Program in that state. We have sample wages for each of the four key Weatherization Assistance Program roles that are provided by the state program administrator or come from the National Association of State and Community Programs Weatherization Wage Survey data. So on our Connect Now section, this is where job seekers and contractors can make a direct connection to one of the employers that is listed in the platform. Currently, we have a number of organizations in Wisconsin, and each organization has a Get Started link, which takes you off to the organization's website. So Project Home is one of our pilot locations in Wisconsin, and they actually have a fantastic landing page for both folks that would like to start a career in weatherization in their area and also for contractors. And we also provide links to our training programs in the Weatherization Assistance Program. So you'll see here Slipstream is listed as a training provider, and they are IREC accredited. I think that's what I wanted to show you in the platform right now. I want to highlight again the resource hub for employers. This is Weatherization Assistance Program focused right now, but there is a lot of information and resources here that are more broadly applicable. For example, our outreach and engagement toolkit for weatherization workforce development. The language that we have been using there is broadly applicable to the energy efficiency and energy sectors. And go back to our slide presentation. I mentioned the Contractor's Guide to Success. Within the Contractor's Guide to Success, we have already developed some supplemental downloadable resources, including a tools and equipment list, some more explanation of the application process and how contractors can connect to program opportunities, because even though it's a national program, it's administered at the state level. And so contractors in different states can expect to see different processes depending on where they are. Information about understanding program-specific information, including field guides and job aids put out by the Department of Energy, and more details about quality assurance. And then within the resources hub, I'm just going to highlight a couple of the resources we have there right now. So we have editable job descriptions for each of the four key weatherization field roles. That was a direct request in some of the early listening sessions that we held with stakeholders across the network. So those are downloadable and editable, and there's some information there also about the difference between job descriptions and job postings. Job descriptions are primarily internal documents, and job postings are what you're using to advertise opportunities. So we have another resource in there that is specific to recruitment and job postings. That was just posted last week. There's information there about elements of a job posting, how to reach a diverse audience, and a downloadable checklist that can support your job posting development. And that's applicable more broadly than just the Weatherization Assistance Program. We have a new resource coming online in a few weeks, our job descriptions internal that went to job postings external, led us to what happens when you have a successful job posting and somebody lands on your organization career page. Something that came up for a few different agencies were how to make improvements to their career pages. So we did some research and worked with some of our partners to develop content for a resource around transforming your career page, including a career page evaluation rubric. So we're expecting that to be put into the platform probably in a few weeks. So I encourage you to sign up for updates if you're interested in a tool that can help you evaluate your organization career page and make sure that you're meeting job seeker needs. And I think this is where I am going to stop sharing and pass to Brent Cossack from Service Year Alliance, who's been one of our key partners in this project work. And Brent and I have, along with our other collaborators in this project, spent a lot of time developing strategies and information around how to connect with new and diverse audiences, and particularly the youth audience. So I'm pleased to pass it over to Brent to dive into some more of our learnings around those particular topics.
Well, awesome. Thanks so much, Pagan. So yeah, just a little bit about myself and the organization. So again, Brent Cossack, Director of Workforce and Climate at Service Year Alliance. What our organization is all about is leveraging service programs such as AmeriCorps Youth Build to put young, diverse audiences on a path to multiple different career types. We do a variety of different works in a few different spaces, but most applicable to our work with IREC is obviously in the climate space. So within that project, we've been doing a lot of work with building relationships with industry partners, but also do a lot of work in the market research and learning from young people through national polls or focus groups about what is motivating them to pursue clean energy career paths, weatherization career paths, green construction, you name it. So we can learn more about how to support those different pathways through service. We are a proud member, as Pagan mentioned, of both IREC's Weatherization Assistance Program Enhancement and Innovation Project, as well as the Clean Energy or the Apprenticeship in Clean Energy Network as well. I guess just one other thing I'd add about myself is I do hold a professional recruiter certification, professional social sourcing certification. So throughout my career set has done quite a bit of work with the kind of within the recruitment space and hoping to share some of those outreach strategies with you all today. So in addition to some of those great templates and tools that Pagan has already highlighted being available through Green Workforce Connect, throughout the project, we're also going to be looking into infusing additional tools and strategies and suggestions through maybe the forms of blogs or different additional articles that can further highlight strategies to allow you to tap into new audiences, diverse audiences that are going to continue to help build your talent development pipelines. So on this screen are just some of the general kind of topic areas that we've discussed and we'll be looking into in the future. But the main reason I'm sharing this today is I'm going to be kind of using these topics to highlight some key strategies within each of these things that maybe you can take away into your own kind of outreach strategies after today's call. So to go along with what Pagan just mentioned is one of the first things you want to think about to make sure that your outreach strategy is effective is, your job postings versus position descriptions. I think one of the first things that we see as a challenge is organizations just taking their position description and then putting that up online and hoping applicants will apply that way. Position descriptions are usually formal documents that are used maybe during the interview process or the onboarding process to make sure that there's a full overview of the expectations of a job. Usually pretty bland, dry language, right? But with a job posting, what you're really trying to do is this is your first exposure to many applicants. So you're really wanting something that's more conversational in messaging that's going to attract them either to your open positions or to take a next step with your organization. Maybe go to your website or check out Green Workforce Connect, whatever it might be. So it's really important to really have a strategy to pull people in through this. Just some things to look at is, there is research that shows that if a job posting is between like 300 and 700 words, you're going to get more applicants. So like shorter things than what you would usually see in a petition description. You can think about having things like enticing titles. So instead of saying like client navigator, you might want to say something along the lines of, make a difference in climate change while serving your community to get people to actually click on your listing to see, what you're talking about, what the job's all about. Other little things you can do too is even like if you're using kind of antiquated job boards as part of your posting strategy, some of those even filter by like letters of the alphabet. So even starting your job title with an A can get you more applicants just because more of them will see your job posting. So all things like this can be really helpful in helping attract people to your positions. So some other things to think about when you're putting together job postings is some strategies for helping to attract diverse audiences to the space. is including things like your organization's commitment to diversity or equal employer opportunity statements. We find that including salary, benefits, and specifically advancement opportunities as part of job postings is really important, especially to young applicants. So even like, hyperlinking out to some of IREC's green jobs mapping tools can be really helpful for folks to say, well, if I start here within this industry, these are the different career paths I can grow into. There's also research that says that if your job postings use overly masculine or feminine themes, you're going to box out a high number of applicants because of that. So the goal should really be to make sure that your job postings are using neutral language. And there's online tools that are free that you can basically upload job postings to make sure you're using that type of language. And then that alone can get more people that are saying, this is a job or a career path that I can pursue rather than feeling boxed out depending on the language use. Okay, next thing I want to talk about is so in today's market, I think anytime you have below a 6% unemployment rate, you've reached what is called employer equilibrium. And what that means is that the onus is really on the employer to really sell their positions and their opportunity to an applicant, because we know that there's plenty of other opportunities for applicants to consider. So a big part of this is making sure that you have strong customer service throughout your application process. So a few things with this is oftentimes folks want to request more information about the job or your working environment before they go ahead and apply for a full position. So think about things like if you're at a career fair, just having contact sheets for follow-up, or depending on how maneuverable your website is, just having like request more information button where folks can put maybe like 3 pieces of their contact information in there, and like a staff person can follow up and have a conversation with them. Those things can be really effective is what we can see with the organizations that we work with. Also, I think oftentimes when you do assessments on websites, there's a lot of times where it's really hard for people to figure out how to even apply for a job. So making sure that you do the organization or website assessments that Pagan was mentioning to make sure that it's very easy to find an apply now button. I really like websites that have it in multiple different places so people don't have to search. I think we've probably all heard at this point that more and more folks, especially young people, are applying through mobile devices. So it's even more important to make sure that specifically your application process can be navigated through like a cell phone, where you're going to be receiving a lot of applications that are filled out that way. You can also consider things like just collecting very core information in order to schedule interviews, and collecting more information down the line to make it a little bit more user-friendly in your interview process. And then, I think I really like even really simple tools to follow up immediately with applicants to let them know next steps can be really important in customer service. So you can even like process applications through, Gmail, where you have like an automatic response. Thank you very much for your application. You'll hear from us within 72 hours. That kind of stuff can be really important. So again, I want to mention what Pagan mentioned is please sign up for updates through Green Workforce Connect, where you're going to get resources in these type of documents coming out soon that can help you like do those audits on your own website. Okay, so talking about strong customer service as far as the interview process. In my past work, we were having a problem where a lot of folks were falling out before like the final interview or job offers were made. And really what we found out is we were just taking way too long in the application process because it was going through too many filters. And so what I would recommend to everybody is try to keep your entire application or your interview process between 3 to 4 weeks, or if not, you're going to lose, especially the high quality or like the very well qualified applicants to other positions in the field. So if you're having trouble with that, that's one of the first things I would look at. Make sure that you ask applicants if they need reasonable accommodations very upfront in the interview process, and be willing to make those adjustments. So maybe the site that you're conducting interviews at may not be accessible to all people. So be willing to move to a public library, move to a different part of your office, simple things like that. I am really fascinated by unconscious bias, and there's lots of great information on the internet with this. But generally, we tend to favor applicants that have like similar backgrounds to ourselves. So maybe we were a certain career path and we see someone else going through that. So we're more apt to hire them because we had maybe success in our career. At the same time, maybe you had an employee that was a construction science major that gave you grief all the time. So you're going to be unconsciously biased and not hire someone from that major again, potentially. So anyways, I've linked out a really cool video I like on YouTube about this. It's even just a fun activity to work through with your staff at some point. So you're unaware about how many tricks your mind can play. So something else to be thinking about in the customer service realm. Other basic things is making sure you're outlining like next steps, timelines, making sure you're providing opportunities for applicants to ask questions of you can make you really successful in drawing in the new and diverse audiences as well. Okay, so next up, we want to talk about making sure that you have a strong strategy for infusing diversity, equity, and inclusion in your outreach and recruitment efforts. So first of all, like research demonstrate that companies that with a greater level of diversity can produce greater profits, make better decisions, and develop more innovative ideas. Additionally, managers who really embrace diversity, equity, and inclusion generally have a higher retention rate amongst their teams or units. And so like this is something that every organization, every company in the world wants. So like it's really important to make sure that your organization is really making sure that your processes are really supportive in a variety of ways so that you can continue to serve the communities the best you can. So one other thing to just kind of frame things is diversity can mean a lot of different things. And really it can, on the screen here, I have lots of categories that can entail, but it goes much on beyond this. Really, it's just making sure that you're bringing in different perspectives, backgrounds, life experience than maybe what is currently on your staff or within your organization. One thing that I would probably mention is that it could be very different depending on the organization or even like a department within an organization. So if you're part of a large company, you might want to specifically look at your project, your department to see where you might want to grow. So, I also want to be clear that recruiting towards diversity and inclusion goals does not mean like lowering your standards in any kind of way. It's just really looking at your systems to make sure that your processes are fair and inclusive and that your outreach strategies are very diverse and engaging a lot of diverse audiences along the way. So a few things that you can utilize to help kind of build a DEI recruitment strategy is, first of all, I've linked a few tools here. Oftentimes, a good place to start is making sure that your staff best reflects the community that you're serving. So tools like city data can help you find out information about your community. I know a lot of you all are probably already very in tune with your partners in the community, and that's something else that can help you set your goals or ambitions or growth strategies. Also looking at your website or really any of your materials for diversity brand evaluation to make sure that your commitment to diversity and supportive environments is front and center. Your pictures that are on your websites, your materials are very real representative of different population types, that you're using inclusive language, just kind of like we talked about with that gender decoder. Like, you don't want to say things like our boys out in the field are doing such and such. Make sure that you're not boxing people out through those word choices. Also, so in your outreach strategies, you just really need to be thinking through about, are you reaching as many audiences as possible? So some simple things to do there is send quick emails to, parent teacher organizations, community groups, churches, mosques, temples, other organizations or event types in your area that can help get the word out of your open positions to a broader audience. Many times these organizations are very happy to hear from you and they're willing to post your jobs on their websites or their job boards or just share with their networks and things like that. You can also, make sure that you're posting to not just the same job board over and over again. So I've linked a few here below that I feel like do a good job of continuing to like diversify like where you're placing your actual job postings. With social media, you just want to make sure that you're also utilizing a variety of social media groups potentially unique to your area. That's, again, getting in front of the most audiences possible. You can also use tools like writetag.com. Like if you're on LinkedIn and posting something, you can say, I want this to get front and center to maybe veteran populations. And you can use WriteTag to highlight what hashtag you should be using as part of your social media strategy. So some strategies for helping to attract more women to your positions. First of all, I'm from the national service environment, so I do want to highlight national service programs as a potential partnership in that space. We're showing that about 40% of participants in national service programs kind of in the environmental place or focus area engaged women of 40%. There's a variety of job boards here that can also be utilized, or local resources that can help you identify additional groups in your area that can help attract women to your position. And then some other higher lift things, but can produce higher level of return, is things like considering allowing your women employees to mentor girls or women's groups or individuals, or even things like issuing op-eds in local newspapers saying how your organization is really looking to grow women in career paths that are commonly associated with engaging men, can really get some motivation behind getting women applications to your postings. Also thinking about if you have need for bringing in bilingual applicants, some things to be thinking about is you can use tools like 211 to identify organizations in your community that you could work with to draw upon their participants in order to bring more applications in this space. You can even outreach to local language classes in your community to engage some great applicants that way as well. With Indigenous communities, I've highlighted a few different platforms here that you can use to identify centers and partners in that space that you could work with to get your job postings out. And something else that I want to highlight is it's not a violation of Equal Employer Opportunity Clause if you specifically say in your job postings that you encourage, Native American communities to apply for your positions if you are located close to a tribal community. Some other things with this, and really all audiences, is also make sure that you're considering access to the internet. So not everybody has strong connections throughout their life. So also making sure those print materials are out in the community can also be really helpful with bringing in diverse applicants. I also want to highlight persons with disabilities. So individuals with disabilities oftentimes bring unique and new skill sets to your organizations that can help you better serve your clients and your customers. So there's some great resources that I've plugged here. So Society of Human Resource Management has some great tools about how to outreach and support individuals with disabilities. And then also the Job Accommodation Network provides free kind of consultation and tools that your organization can leverage to help you navigate things like reasonable accommodations. Are there funding to help with that? Is it reasonable to make these accommodations, things like that. So talking about building diverse recruitment partnerships, again, I've mentioned service year programs. If anybody's interested there, I can help you connect to service year programs in your area. 211, again, a great tool for connecting with a variety of different organizations in your community. But you can also use things like Department of Education's website to identify post-secondary institutions that primarily enroll minority populations. Or this website of the Women's College Coalition can also help you identify more institutions in your area that primarily enroll women candidates as well.
It's just talking about.
Also thinking about workforce partners in general can be helpful in all kinds of different spaces, right? So here's a whole list of different tools that you can use to connect to additional support strategies in your community or nationally. IREC actually just made me aware of DOL's Universal Outreach Tool, which I thought was really cool, where it's like actually a map where you can look in your community, and they've already highlighted a lot of organizations that can provide you with some really great talent pipelines. Oops. Sorry about that. So I also just want to highlight some of the findings that came out of our research in the last few years that could be useful to help like honing your messaging and marketing efforts. So first of all, when we were looking at young people, we found that 65% of young people indicated that they really cared about climate change and wanted to take some kind of action, but didn't really know how. So I would say a lot of people on this call could message your social media posts with positions or your job postings to message that your opportunities are a specific way that young people can start taking action against climate change. So one thing to think about is you're like kind of marketing your jobs. Personal benefits are very important to young people. So even, of course, framing a salary and benefits and things like that are important, but you can also frame altruistic impacts is like personal gains. So like say you are supporting the Weatherization Assistance Program, framing things like, feel good about this career path because you're helping your neighbors and community members bring down their energy costs, you're helping the environment, all kinds of great stuff. Again, we found that upfront information is really important with young people. They want to know what the application process is, what the benefits are, what the career paths are. All that stuff is really important to give up front, and that will attract more people. We found that like if you are doing advertisement on like say social media, framing things around like immediate concerns to your community can also get more people to like click and get interest in your job. So say energy costs are really high in the community, you do an energy efficiency work, kind of highlighting that stuff is going to get you a lot of great applicants that start getting interest in like weatherization or energy efficiency or clean energy as a career path. And then, yeah, they young people want their career to make a difference. So highlighting how your, solar company is contributing towards, global scale change or our nation's goals and transitioning can be really helpful as attracting more people to your positions as well. So I also wanted to give you a few tips to also make some of your outreach strategies maybe more effective. And so, I think participating in career fairs should definitely be part of your outreach strategy. But oftentimes what we find out is that when you consider like the time of and coordination costs in addition to like the actual true financial cost of participating in career fairs, it can be a lower return on investment. And so one thing that we found to be more effective is what we call captive audience events. These are things where you have like an audience that's actually going to listen to you for like 5 or 10 minutes and ask questions, things like that. So think about like working with community organizations doing jobs trainings or local community colleges or four-year institutions to see if there's any opportunities for you to host things like lunch and learns or sponsor events. And we find that like, you can like basically do a lunch and learn where everybody gets hot dogs for $100 and they listen to you for 10 minutes. That can be a lot more effective to actually get an applicant in the door rather than just being at a job fair competing against like 50 other employers, that kind of stuff. I also want to highlight with AmeriCorps and CCC campuses are a specific branch of AmeriCorps service, but we're finding that these applicants are well suited for clean energy positions or weatherization positions because basically what they're doing is they're functioning in teams, being deployed all throughout the country or the region, doing everything from disaster response to weatherization to building trails. So they're the type of individuals that are willing and able to relocate to projects. They're used to like operating in diverse environments with inclement weather. They can function as a team. They have this higher mission alignment and also like community engagement support or experience as well. And so these campuses are located in 4 different communities across the country. I've listed them here, but they have career fair events multiple times throughout the year. Each campus does. And I'm basically doing a road show virtually on this. So if anybody on this call ever wants to partner on any of these, I'd love to have you be on a webinar with me and then even have an in-person presence at some of these career events where we're finding that there's a lot of alignment to recruiting these young people into your rows. So if you're ever interested in that as a partnership, feel free to email me after this. So with that, I do want to, I don't want to write off career fairs, but there's a few strategies to like maybe increase your effectiveness there. Is first of all, if you're going to invest in a career fair, make sure that your booth is very appealing and engaging. You really need to make sure that you're making the investment there because there's nothing worse than competing against employers that really have like showy, booths that are attracting people with some cool swag and things like that. And yours might just have a few pamphlets. At that point, it's probably not worth investing the money to like get into the career fair type of thing. Make sure that, something that can be really helpful is bringing in employees who are already enthusiastic about the job types that you have available, or they have a connection to, maybe if you're at a school career fair, if they're alumni from that, can be really helpful to bring them along to help you kind of, engage and sell people on your opportunities. I think one thing that can be really helpful about career fairs is asking people who express interest to take immediate action with you. That can be everything from joining your social media page to filling out a contact list to even you might want to have multiple staff there where you can do like kind of like first round interviews with folks. Maybe that's more of just like an initial information collecting interview, but that makes people feel like, oh, I'm already in the process, which hopefully they will be. And then they will follow through with the next steps of filling out a full application or whatever it might be. I think this is oftentimes off missed, but if you have staff that are having a career fair, make sure that they bring plenty of follow-up materials where they can distribute that around the campus or whatever community you're in, and make sure that you have that kind of activities happening as part of the career fair as well, so that you kind of have the return on investment goes beyond just like the hour you're there with applicants, that kind of stuff. Another thing that in a lot of industries, the most effective way to engage folks in your open positions is through word of mouth marketing. And one of the best ways to further encourage word of mouth marketing is through establishing referral programs. And this is a great way of tapping into additional applicant pools. Oftentimes there's higher retention rates because your employees or community members know the people in their networks that would excel at your positions or enjoy the work type of thing. And it's also, you might offer certain incentives to your staff who participate. That could be everything from low cost things like an additional day off, or it could be a $500 gift card, whoever has the most referrals, whatever it might be. But generally these programs can be most effective and also be a low cost option compared to highly advertising online or in other opportunities. The one thing I want to mention here, though, is if these aren't done right, the downside can be that you can produce an applicant pool that very much mimics your current staff and a lack of diversity within the applicant pools that are coming in. So you want to make sure that as you set a process for that you're also making sure that you are establishing goals and sharing that with your current employees, and then also, if possible, make sure that you offer an opportunity for like community members or clients or customers to also participate in this, so that you're opening up to more networks and hopefully bringing in diverse applicants that way as well. So I'm going to round things out. So most of what we've covered today is all based on kind of outreach, building partnerships, strategies to increase your effectiveness of your recruitment strategies. But I didn't want to end without saying how important it is to make sure that you have a very supportive and strong culture within your organization to support applicants once they're into your organization. And just like everything else, it takes time and effort and really like concerted goals to make sure that you're doing this well, but it's well worth the end results that will come out of this. Basically, from what some of those other slides that I covered about like the outcomes that can result from having a diverse and happy workforce. So basically, make sure that your efforts do not just extend to your recruitment and outreach strategies. Make sure you're also looking at your internal environment and how your employees can be supported. This could be a whole day long training. So all I'm going to do today is plug in a few resources, but the best way to start is that, again, each organization is unique and there's different areas where you might want to grow to further support your workforce. That could be everything from reassessing your benefits package to maybe your field staff could benefit from additional training in certain ways, whatever it might be type of thing. So I wanted to plug Jobs for the Future has a quality jobs framework. Is a good way of first looking at different parts of your organization that you might want to look at and identify areas that you would maybe want to grow in. You can also, I plugged in a sample racial equity action plan that one of our partners uses to basically, once they've identified areas they want to grow, put in a plan in place to actually grow in the ways that they think would be beneficial to their employees. So like a great example of something you could implement at your organization. There's DOA's Better Buildings Workforce Accelerator document. And then I also want to plug IREC has a great tool in key recommendations. Cultivating diverse and skilled talent pipeline for equitable transition can be a great resource to help you think through creating an inclusive and belonging culture at your organization. So there are all kinds of things you can look at. The one, I guess, final thought I want to leave you with here is one of the most important things you can do is when you're developing any kind of strategies, goals, revising policies or initiatives, you need to make sure that you're bringing in the voices from your organization or the community that are going to be affected by these goals or policies or practices. And that can be one of the most important things. So I really am glad that Pagan kind of shared about the advisory council as part of the Green Workforce Connect. That was a great way of bringing in a variety of voices and not just kind of top level managers or directors making decisions for everybody else. And that can make sure that you're actually going to make the success or progress that you're hoping to make. So with that, I think that wraps up kind of my section. Again, that's my email there. I do want to at least highlight that if you're a Weatherization Assistance Program, we've partnered with the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, where we can help you identify service year talent pipelines, or even how you can tap into service years as a capacity building tool as well. So if you're interested in that, you can also email me. I can get you in touch with them. But anyways, with that, I'll yield back, I guess, to Pagan.
Thank you so much, Brent. I'm going to take over the screen there. So I mentioned we are currently in a pilot phase of our project for the Weatherization Assistance Program. We're piloting in Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin right now. And in September, we will begin our national rollout. I know there was a question that came in around when we'll be adding new states. So national rollout will begin in September. For folks that are in the Weatherization Assistance Program and would like to see your state added, you can email me directly, sign up for updates. And if in particular, if you are a state grantee and you would like to talk to us about getting your state listed, we do have a state inquiry form that I can share out with folks that are interested in that. And Cindy mentioned earlier in the conversation that Green Workforce Connect is really part of IREC's overall workforce development strategy. So we're piloting this concept of providing, access for job seekers to resources and the ability to explore career pathways and make those connections to employers and training programs in their area. But we do have a vision for a platform where job seekers and students and contractors can explore all of the different career pathways and roles that are on the IREC career maps. And we will be bringing other features and additions online in the Green Workforce Connect platform throughout the Weatherization Assistance Program specific project. And starting in June and July, you'll start seeing more details about other career pathways that can be explored in the platform. So stay tuned to IREC News and Green Workforce Connect updates for more details about that. There is a QR code here that will take you to the sign-up form. And I think the next slide has my direct email address and also our Green Workforce Connect project team email address. So please feel free to reach out in any one of myriad ways for help and assistance. And I think, Cindy, is this where we pass back to you for questions and answers?
Yep. We have just 4 in the Q&A, but folks can feel free to keep adding. The first question, are most of the jobs in the weatherization sector in small, mid, or large companies? Alternatively, is there a sector where you more commonly run your own company?
In the Weatherization Assistance Program in particular, that's a federally funded program that is administered by each state through a network of local providers. Most of those local program employers for the Weatherization Assistance Program are nonprofit agencies that are part of the Community Action Partnership Network. And they are all different sizes of organizations. I would say in the weatherization and energy efficiency sector in general, there is a really broad mix of small, mid, and large companies. And in particular, in the contracting side of these types of pathways, that is definitely where you would be running your own company. And if you're interested in looking into developing a contracting company, even though the Contractor's Guide to Success is specific to the Weatherization Assistance Program, it provides a lot of really great information that's applicable to different types of contracting businesses.
And I think you already answered this in a previous slide, but do you know when you'll be launching invites in other states like Illinois?
We are inviting states to add themselves to our interest list for the Weatherization Assistance Program as of last week. So we've just kicked off our national rollout plans. And September is when you could expect to see states being added for the Weatherization Assistance Program.
Another question about where can you find training programs in your community?
If you are not in Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin right now, I would suggest that you go to the IREC website. Cindy, I don't know if we have a link easily, or Michelle, we have a list of all of the IREC accredited training centers that are across the country that provide training in weatherization and also in other clean energy technologies.
Thank you. And we had one more. Would someone know documentation for the DEIA link to profitability and innovation?
Brent.
Sorry, I don't think I have that link, but it sounds like a great resource.
Yeah, I don't have a resource for it, but I did recently read quite a few articles just about that very thing. So there are a lot of great resources. I see people posting in the chat, so please head over there and grab those. I think Kai, thank you, just dropped some of those training centers in the chat as well. Make sure that you've got your information in the chat so we can send all of this information out. And if you're registered on our website, you'll get a copy of this presentation and the recording. We do have one question I see in the chat. Is there any IREC training on VR? I guess virtual reality? Not to my knowledge.
I don't think so. Are there certain qualifications that Weatherization Assistance Program participants are looking for from applicants? We are focusing on Building Performance Institute and her certification alone. That looks like an absolutely great focus. And I think we've already connected offline through email, Maximilian, so we can definitely chat more about that. Different agencies, depending on the position that they're hiring for, obviously have different requirements for job seekers. I know in some areas, unfortunately, the biggest barrier to employment is whether or not a candidate has a driver's license, because these roles are often traveling roles locally.
In learning about that same subject area, I found the templates that are in Green Workforce Connect to be really helpful, where it's like the job templates list a lot of what common expectations are for a lot of employers. So that has at least been part of my educating process. I think in regards to that previous question too, I think if the question was in regards to some of those studies that I cited in the presentation, I can find some of the links to those and we can figure out how to send those out.
I think we also almost could, Brent, like create a list of useful reference links all in one like PDF document. Yeah, thank you, Matthew, for picking that up on virtual reality. I do not have an answer to that, although I do know that there are some programs that are using virtual reality for training. A list of useful resources doc. We could probably pull that together from all of, I think we would have lots of links that we could add to those slides, Brent. Cindy, offshore wind, do you have any connections to?
Yeah, offshore wind is definitely, wind is definitely coming. Offshore wind, I know, is a little trickier. The training for that is pretty expensive and complex, but I know quite a few folks that are doing it and doing it well. So I'll drop my email here in the chat if you want to reach out to me, and we can chat about that, and I can put you in touch with folks that are working there. I think for right now, rolling out for Green Workforce Connect, we're refocused on weatherization, solar, and then potentially EV. All right, well, I think we've got all the Q&A taken care of. I really appreciate you guys. There's a lot of great information in the chat, and of course our LinkedIn page. Feel free to post. I put a link somewhere in the chat here to that as well. Feel free to post there if you've got questions or just want to make additional connections. But I appreciate you all coming today. We will be sending all of this out to you. And again, if you have any questions, my email's in the chat, and we look forward to seeing you all next time. And thanks so much, Pagan and Brent.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thanks, y'all. Have a good day.